Most people think the spiritual life starts with belief. Believe in God. Believe in scripture. Believe in a tradition. Believe what someone told you. But Sri Ramakrishna said something much more intense. He said God is not just something to believe in. God can be seen, not as an idea, not as a theory, not as a cultural habit, as direct experience. And that one teaching is why Ramakrishna shook the mind of Swami Vivekananda, inspired a whole spiritual movement, and still feels dangerous today. Because if God can be seen, then spirituality is not just about what you think, it is about what you become. A lot of people today are spiritually curious but also exhausted. They have read quotes, watched videos, saved posts, listened to talks, maybe even practiced meditation for a few days, but deep down, the question remains, is any of this real? Or am I just comforting myself with beautiful ideas? That is exactly where Ramakrishna becomes powerful. Because he was not interested in spiritual decoration. He was not trying to sound impressive. He was not building a philosophy to win debates. He was obsessed with one thing. Can the divine be directly known? And his answer was yes. The most famous example is young Narendra. Before he became Swami Vivekananda, he was sharp, skeptical, educated, and not easily impressed. He had one question. He asked spiritual teachers, "Have you seen God?" Most people gave vague answers. They explained doctrine. They quoted scripture. They gave safe, respectable replies. Then he met Sri Ramakrishna, and he asked the same question. "Sir, have you seen God?" Ramakrishna answered with complete simplicity, "Yes, I see him more clearly than I see you." That answer hit differently, because Narendra was not looking for poetry. He was looking for proof in the form of a living person. And in Ramakrishna, he found someone who spoke about God the way most people speak about someone standing in the room. Now, this is important. When Ramakrishna said, God can be seen, he did not mean everyone will have the same vision, the same image, or the same religious experience. He practiced different paths. Devotion to Kali, Vedanta, forms of Hindu worship, even disciplines from other religious traditions. And again, he came back with the same realization. The divine is real. The paths may differ, but the goal is direct experience. For Ramakrishna, seeing God meant becoming so purified, so sincere, so inwardly hungry for truth, that the wall between seeker and God begins to break. It is not casual curiosity. It is not spiritual entertainment. It is not collecting mystical stories. It is longing with your whole being. Ramakrishna gave a simple test. How badly do you want God? Not as a nice idea, not as a backup plan, not as something to think about when life gets hard, but with the urgency of someone who cannot live without truth. He often compared spiritual longing to a child crying for its mother. A child does not give a polished prayer. A child does not perform spirituality. A child cries from the heart. That was Ramakrishna's point. If the longing is real, the response comes. Maybe not on your schedule. Maybe not in the form your ego expects, but the heart begins to change. And that change is already the beginning of seeing. So here is the practical shift. Do not make spirituality only intellectual. Do not just ask, which idea sounds best? Ask, what practice makes me more truthful? What makes me less selfish? What makes my heart softer? What brings me closer to direct experience? Ramakrishna was not against knowledge, but he warned against stopping at words. Reading about water does not remove thirst. Arguing about light does not open your eyes. Studying maps does not equal reaching the destination. At some point, the seeker has to practice. Pray, meditate, repeat the divine name, serve, watch the ego, tell the truth, love God sincerely. That is where belief starts becoming realization. But there is a hidden challenge in Ramakrishna's teaching. If God can be seen, then secondhand spirituality is not enough. Someone else's experience can inspire you. A scripture can guide you. A teacher can point the way, but no one can realize God for you. That is why Ramakrishna's message is both comforting and uncomfortable. Comforting, because the divine is not unreachable. Uncomfortable, because we cannot hide forever behind opinions. The question becomes personal, not, does God exist as a concept? But, am I willing to seek sincerely? Today, many people are stuck between blind belief and total disbelief. Ramakrishna offers a third way. Experiment. Do not accept casually. Do not reject casually. Practice deeply and see what changes. If prayer makes you more honest, continue. If meditation makes you less reactive, continue. If repeating the divine name brings peace, continue. If serving others reduces your ego, continue. This is not about pretending to have visions. It is about becoming the kind of person who can perceive the sacred. Because for Ramakrishna, God is not absent. The problem is that our attention is scattered, our desire is divided, and our heart is covered. Spiritual life removes the covering. So when Sri Ramakrishna says, God can be seen, he is not giving us a slogan. He is giving us a challenge. Do not be satisfied with spiritual talk. Do not stop at inherited belief, and do not reduce religion to identity, argument, or performance. Seek the real thing, with sincerity, with humility, with longing, with practice. Because the deepest claim of Ramakrishna's life is this: the divine is not far away. God is nearer than we think, but we have to become simple enough, pure enough, and hungry enough to see.